trying to teach students who have never seen shoes how to tie shoelaces. You might start by modeling and then asking them to attempt. But what if you were never able to tell them whether their performance was right or wrong? Clearly, feedback is a critical component of effective instruction. If we don't provide feedback during instruction, how will students ever tell right from wrong? Positive feedback simply involves acknowledging student behavior in some way to indicate that the behavior was correct or appropriate. This could happen with a thank you, a thumbs up and a smile, or some other positive signal for letting the student know he or she was correct. You might have heard that praising students is an ineffective or even counterproductive strategy. There are books and curricula that push this idea, but research on this is overwhelmingly clear. Verbal acknowledgement of student success is associated with positive outcomes. Research clearly demonstrates that in addition to positive feedback affecting the behavior to which it is directed, frequent positive feedback is associated with increased achievement, more active engagement, and less disruption during instruction. Students who receive high rates of verbal acknowledgement also report having a more positive view of both school and their teacher. To be effective, positive feedback must occur only after a behavior and takes the form of simply acknowledging that behavior as correct, appropriate, or successful. To be clear, feedback is not simply providing students with positive statements, it is feedback on specific behavior as it occurs. For positive feedback to even take place, the teacher must develop and deliver instruction that effectively sets the student up to achieve. It is up to you to set the stage for success. Students that are not earning positive feedback will require more intensive or differentiated instruction to increase the possibility of success, which of course increases opportunities to deliver positive feedback. Positive feedback can and should be delivered in a simple and natural way. While giving away prizes and tangible items might be necessary for students with more intensive needs, for the majority of students, frequent positive verbal acknowledgement will be more effective and much easier to apply. Take a look at some different ways that positive feedback might occur.
Thank you, Kenna, for cleaning up. Thanks for being a leader.
You're welcome.
Jonah, thank you for throwing your trash away.
You're welcome.
Friends, take a look at Kennedy. I like how you're looking at me. When her eyes are on me, it lets me know that she's ready to listen and she's ready to begin math. I also like how you're not touching and playing with your manipulatives. Thank you for that. It lets everybody know that we're ready to start math. Everybody take a look at Kennedy. Does your body look like Kennedy? Do your hands look like Kennedy? Do your eyes look like Kennedy? Excellent.
Discuss with your group how often you believe you and others in your school provide positive verbal recognition to the average student. Then, think about what strategies you have for increasing this type of feedback. Of course, students are not always positive or appropriate. So, in cases where errors are made, they need to receive corrective feedback, which is simply feedback indicating that the student's behavior was not correct. But the corrective part involves setting the student up to make an improvement. We know that when students receive corrections as opposed to simple negative comments, they are more likely to be engaged and successful into the future. Correction generally begins with a question to allow the student an opportunity to self-correct. If there is no self-correction, then the teacher begins reteaching in order to get the student to demonstrate a correct or more appropriate behavior. When considering academics, it's normal to ask a student to reconsider a rule in order to correct an error. Responding to behavioral errors should be approached in the same way. Let's look at some examples of effective error correction.
Hey, give it back. I'm using them.
Dan, are we doing a good job of sharing right now?
No.
How could we solve this problem?
Give them out evenly.
Give them out evenly. That's great thinking. Well, how can we do that? How many do we have?
15.
15. Is that an even or an odd number?
Odd.
Odd. So how can we solve this problem?
We could give them out evenly.
All right, let's count that out and see how that looks.
One for you, one for me, one for you, one for me.
Thanks for sharing, Van.
Mylan, does 1 + 1 = 3?
I don't know.
All right, let's count. So if we have 1 and we add another 1, what do we get?
Oh yeah, 2.
Exactly. I knew you had this.
All right, friends, we are not done learning today, but we are done learning math. So if you'll please put away your manipulatives and get ready for lunch, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Kenna, you look amazing. I love how your desk is completely clean. All right, ready to go. Excellent work, guys.
Discuss with your group the conditions under which you typically deal with student errors and misbehavior. Given your unique students, discuss how corrective feedback might be most effectively applied to get positive results. When instruction is working, students are successful, and when it's not, students are more likely to fail. But how much success does the average student need to have to make up for the inevitable failures? We know that if we can create instruction that makes students successful about 4 times for every 1 failure, it's a good predictor for future success. In terms of ratio, while a typical student might be very successful with a success to failure ratio of 4 to 1, students with a history of failure often require 10 times more success than failure in order to encourage and predict continued success. Creating this level of success for every student is the responsibility of the teacher and presents a variety of challenges. Students that experience high rates of failure with any behavior tend to either withdraw or become aggressive. So, if students are not maintaining a high ratio of success, it tells us that instruction is not working. And when that's the case, we have to change what we're doing as teachers, or else it sets us and our students up for problems down the road.
When my students make errors, I quickly give them feedback and help get them on the right track. It's important to find something positive that they're doing so they feel successful so they can move on with their work.
When many of these kids walk into school, some of their struggles hold them back. My job is to teach them the things that they'll need to be successful so they can go out in the world and believe in themselves.
Between now and your next meeting, take some time to think about your use of positive and negative acknowledgement of student behaviors. First, count the number of positive and negative statements you make and think about your average ratio. Second, think about how often you use correction as opposed to straight negative feedback. Come to the next meeting with your data and be prepared to discuss your thoughts.